I do think that Broncos-Jags game we've got here at the end of the month looks really intriguing. Jacksonville in some horrendous circumstances go up early on Philly, who are the last remaining undefeated team in the league. But Trevor Lawrence, off the back of what I thought was his best all-round career performance, maybe outside of in London last year, that he's put on, you get the 5 turnovers in the rain, you get, some of them were on him as much as I think decision-making maybe rather than technique, although the James Bradbury one kind of lofted it up in the air, which I thought was, under pressure from an Eagles blitz that I didn't think was necessarily the best of decisions. Few fumbles in the wet condition. I don't know. He still feels like somebody who's yet to fully figure it out.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I mean, when you look at the sort of Bishop Sycamore type coaching that he got last year from Urban Meyer and his career, it's understandable. I think we pile so much pressure onto young quarterbacks and expect them to be sensational right from the get-go that, within a few games, if they're not playing, and you only have to look at the treatment of a Zach Wilson or a Lawrence or a Tua Tagovailoa or, whoever it is over the last few years, if they're not coming out and spinning it like and we've been spoiled because of Mahomes and Jackson and Allen and Herbert and Burrow, and that's fine. But, let's not pretend that Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert haven't had their fairly significant issues, but actually some of that has been slightly sort of tapered away because Burrow obviously got to a Super Bowl and played sensationally down the stretch, that Herbert has made some just unbelievable throws. But, Justin is also struggling in critical moments of big games like he did in college. He's also throwing big-time interceptions. So, it's difficult. I think Trevor Lawrence has to play better, but I think the hangover from Hurricane Ian, the sort of the Philadelphia court, certainly played into it. I know both teams had to play in the wet, and Jalen Hurts didn't fumble the ball 4 times, but I don't think that was indicative of a Trevor Lawrence performance when it feels like he has really begun to turn the corner. And I think that Jacksonville team is pretty good. I know we've had a question about whether or not they can make the playoffs. I think they'll be right in the mix. I think Doug Peterson's a really good coach. I think he's begun to answer the question about who really was the brains behind that Philadelphia Super Bowl win. And you saw the reaction from the Eagles crowd, which essentially gave him a standing ovation yesterday. Which, look at this guy coming in. Look.
I thought I'd drop in. I was listening to you, Olly Hunter here. I was listening to you, and you're right about the QB situation, Simon. But I was listening. My meeting finished early, and I thought, I miss these boys. Let me jump on. Sorry to interrupt. Carry on. Finish your thought, and then bring me.
Phillies fans are a notoriously tough crowd. I mean, I can remember once when. This was years ago, back at the Vet, when a Santa Claus parachuted into the stadium, and he landed, instead of landing on the field, he landed in the crowd, and they broke his leg. I mean, it's like, and the Vet used to have a jail and a courtroom under the stadium because there was so much trouble in the stands.
Philly fans love it when you talk about them booing Santa or it's their favorite thing in the world.
So you only have to see the reverence with which the players, there was a queue of players waiting to hug Doug Peterson after the game yesterday. And Jason Kelsey swapped shirts and got Doug Peterson's raincoat and stuff. And, then it was Peterson, then it was Lane Johnson, then it was Jalen Hurts, then it was Brandon Graham. There's this long list of stud players just going up and, wanting to spend time with this guy that won them a Super Bowl. And, I think that Jacksonville team are going to be difficult to beat. They need a few more pieces. They need, Christian Kirk needs a bit of help out wide and those sorts of things. I think the linebackers are sensational, Lloyd and the kid they got in free agency, whose name escapes me. But I just think generally they're an improving upside team. And if Lawrence can get that help, then I think it'll be really interesting moving forward. But I don't think that was indicative of Trevor Lawrence's career, having the 4 fumbles. It's just one of those situations.
That being said, Philly coming from 14 points down, doing it with the run game. We've seen that Jalen Hurts can move the ball this year. This idea that he was just a fancy quarterback, a numbers quarterback, a garbage time quarterback, I think has been proven to be garbage so far in this 4-0 start. But they ran the ball brilliantly. Miles Sanders, who I have to say came into the season feeling very apathetic towards as the starting back, and Kenneth Gainwell, I thought, did play well as a kind of secondary combination, but 27 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, including the game-tying touchdown with 4 minutes remaining in that first half. I thought he was superb. I thought that the Eagles looked great again. And, I just need to figure out, it's a little bit like everything we've said on this show so far. We're in week 4, and it's been a weird first 4 weeks of the season. I'm not sure that the Cardinals are the team to truly test the Eagles. But so far, they've faced a very odd collection of teams, and they only go on to, Dallas may be a bit stouter on Sunday Night Football in a couple of weeks, but realistically, it's the end of November when they play the Packers, where they play an actual full-blown contender, as I currently see it. Maybe the Cowboys with Dak Prescott back, but they've just won a bunch of games with Cooper Rush, so who knows? I don't know. I still want to see them play a great team, but they ran the ball so well that
the evolution of Hurts as a quarterback as well. I think Brian Johnson, the quarterback coach, deserves huge credit for the job that he's done, because, I remember Matt Sherry and I had this conversation when Jalen was at Alabama, and talking about the conversation around him when he came out would be fascinating. But the way that he's evolved into a passing quarterback with the ability to run, there are a few similarities to Randall Cunningham in terms of just the ability to make yards with his feet, and Cunningham had a bigger arm, but I do get some reminders of the two of them when they're playing. But I think what's interesting about Jalen Hurts is that it feels like he's getting better. I think, just like you, I want to see him in a really big game, but I do kind of look at their schedule and think, and the NFC generally, and think, I don't know, like, where are these big in-conference games coming? Because the conference is it's not massive, in terms of the ability of teams in the NFC at the moment. It just feels like there's, like you said at the very top of the show, Will, there's a lot of teams around 16th best in the league, and most of them seem to be in the NFC.